We're going to have the best video ever because we're going to talk about the most 4 interesting topics ever in the history of Marvel Strike Force, which is going to be resource availability, red stars, the RTA Battle Pass system, and Sim Blitz. Is joined with me is my very most favoritist 2 people ever. Who's that guy? Say what's up, my guy. Say what's up. What's up, Reminix? And who else do we have? Who else? We've also got Valley Flying.
Oh, there it is, guys.
All
yes.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna toggle between you 2 things. We've just came over from Valley Flying's channel and we had a bunch of stuff that we talked over there, and we're going over our this blog post. The blog post is titled 1-star review. And let's start off this. I'm gonna show my current review rating in the Google Play Store, and then we're gonna
let's see
what it is. Right, and I've had a 5-star review, but right now I have a 3-star review. They didn't test RTA the way they tested ISO 8. It's terrible. So where's your review at? What are you doing right now for your review in the Google Play Store or App Store?
I think I made it back to 1 back in the FX MSF, and I might have forgotten to switch it back. So it may be at 1 right now.
Oof. Where are you at?
Scopely, I forgot to switch it back after.
Where are you at, Rebedex?
Came out.
Where are you at, Rebedex?
You know, it's funny because every single time there's like they have like that review us, I always have to take a look at it. I think mine's a 3 like yours, and the feedback was needs more player testing.
Okay, and so what I'm trying to say here today is that whatever you feel, this is a good way to give feedback to the development that actually cares. And also, one of the things that I've heard continuously is that the developers only listen to Krakens and they only listen to whales. Well, if you're not a spender, this is going to be an excellent way for your feedback to actually matter. I promise you this feedback absolutely does matter. And I'm not telling you whatever you feel is the correct rating, put that. And I just think it's important to do that. I'm not telling people to do 1 star or 3-star. Do what you think. What are you saying, Rem?
It's always important to kind of just your feedback, and you should revisit this because that's your power. No matter what game you play, it's your customer satisfaction matrix. It's all part of what they look at and how they evaluate.
I want to tell you a story. I had a developer reach out to me on stream, and he said that when he worked at a different game, they pretty much ignore Reddit and forums because it's subjective and it's a vocal minority, and that the developers are numbers based, and the star rating is tracked meticulously, and it's an actual finite number that absolutely determines their exposure to new players, and it's important to them. So you agree with me on that? I mean, it's a big deal.
100%, because you get an in-game notification that says rate us on a regular basis. So that should tell you they're looking for feedback.
This developer went out of his way and sent me $100 in stream to make sure that I understood this. I'm dead serious. Like, he felt it was that big of a deal. He's like, hey, I've met you before. I'm a big developer for a different game, not related, but this is how it works. This is important. All right, let's go to this post, and I'm going to ask you about it.
All right.
There's four things here that's talked to this post. A big shout out to, Dragonkin. Where he's talking about resource availability and his frustration with randomness and drop rates. And he specifically says right here that he's okay with the 14s and the 15s. But what about the purple gear? Where are you at with this? And specifically, a lot of frustration I've been hearing is about the 13s. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, so I think there should be bottlenecks in this game, not as many as they have. The 14s should be bottlenecked, the 15 should be bottlenecked, but those I don't know what they're called. Those origin pieces, those superior uniques, the adamantium, the alien spores, those we should be able to get characters up to 13 pretty reliably. And for that, we're going to need more purple gear pieces. One of the interesting things in that dev blog post, they mentioned that they don't want orange gear as easily accessible as blue and purple gear, but as you guys know, every time a new character comes out, kind of short sometimes on purple gear, it's not as readily available for us and not as readily available for newer players. And I think people should be able to ease up some of these bottlenecks. As a new one is introduced, Gear 15 was introduced, some of the older ones should be eased up on. And I think they've not done a very good job of going back and looking at some of these older bottlenecks, seeing what's appropriate, especially when level caps increase. So yeah, we definitely need some
Right.
some more resources in the game.
And one of the things that I'm worried about myself, Reminex, is that there is absolutely more availability of purple gear, and I get that. But what is not changing is that there's the availability of characters has just gone through the roof. Like if we go back a year ago or 2 years ago, a new player coming to the game only had to tackle 70, 80, 90 characters, and now they're tackling 150, 160 characters. So what if the purple gear is 30% or 20% more? There's 3 times more characters now. What are your thoughts about that?
So I think the problem with that is the game's leaning towards wide roster. It's like how the end game's being built. And so I think that's got to be on their agenda is people are going to be passing up the characters and then eventually passing up the game if that continues that way. And I think from a large perspective, I think a lot of people are hitting that mark. And I think the other thing is don't negate like a new player, like the blue ability mats, you know, and the problem is they use the raids to gain ability mats, and new players are skipping some of those earlier raids, and they just never really realized that a new player jumping into this game because of, and to their credit, they did give them a team like wave 1 with the rework and jump into new raids, but yeah, it's just there's really not there's no linear path. You can't figure out if you're a new player how to get access to this stuff, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Then the next issue in this particular post is Red Stars. We talked about this at length on Valley's channel quite a bit in the RNG system. What do you think about Red Stars briefly and a way of fixing it? What's your big frustration? I mean, Red Stars is not a new problem, right?
No, it's been and it's been one that was dropped in the community in its worst possible form. I mean, when it first hit us, I mean that was probably the besides when I was sick, the first time I was really thought about quitting the game. It was like, what have they done? I mean, I was having fun. It felt like progression was pretty linear. I knew how to get to where I wanted to go. If I leveled up my night nurse, I can get into a top alliance. And then suddenly Red Stars show up, and all these new meta teams are showing up with these top speeds. And Red Stars just made the power creep too real.
Now, in this post right here, Valley, he mentions a couple things. He says, get rid of the Elite Store, which is, I talked a little bit about your videos. Like, not only do you have to have the promotion credits, but then you have to wait forever for the characters to show up. This post right here is suggesting getting rid of the Elite Store and then also getting rid of the 2 different promotion credits. And then, of course, actually giving us promotion credits, which I think is kind of absurd. We have like, how do we get these things? we have chaos theory and then monthly logins, right? But it's like, other than that, it's really. And anyways, so what do you think about those 3 ideas?
Well, I think the shock of the Red Star rework system was not felt as much by the newer players. The lack of the promotion credits, they took some of that out in the second rework, and there was a lot of bugs during that time. They were giving us a lot of promotion credits anyway, so I think when it first came out, I was like, all right, this is a good thing. After those dried up, though, we're faced with the situation we have now. We're getting 1 per day from the donation to your alliance, and then whatever you get from the chaos theory that happens once a month. It's not enough. It's not enough to promote our roster, and that's kind of what we're feeling with gear. There's so many characters out there, and we're getting new ones added every day. We don't have enough Red Stars to keep up with these characters. So if they gave us, a 7-star character every 2 months or every month or something, it would not break the game because we're getting so many new characters that we have to invest on. Maybe not a 7. Maybe 7's a little too generous, but at least a 5 every month or a 6 every month. I think that would be good, and I don't think it would break the game. It just get our characters that we want to use up to that usable level, which we don't have any control over right now. I think what Red Stars, the biggest negative about that, it took the control out of us. Like Reminex said, that linear path gone. It's all random path now, and that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, agency, I think, is the word that keeps popping up. Is lose a lot of agency when we can't upgrade. I mean, I got a 6 Red Star Bishop, and maybe you didn't, and how does that feel? And
bad. I did it because I did it. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and then it's also a situation where you can't really throw enough money on it to even get it. And I know but anyways, that's a whale problem. But it's just not fun. It's not fun, right?
Too much power is gated behind Red Stars. Bingo, right? And even with the fact that the curve is softened, which was really, was about time. It's still
been day one to curve.
Yeah, it's just but that's the thing, right? Is too much power still gated behind that? A 7 red star Thanos is such a big difference than a 6 red star.
Yeah.
I mean, and you could see that now with Doom just falling over backwards when he gets hit with a 7 red star Thanos. Think about that. That's something that I don't even think they understand how much power crept. They can't even account for it when they build characters.
Something that Valley and I have been talking about, I'm going to ask you about this, is that, and we kind of ended your video about this, the RTA Battle Pass, 2 different points being made here on this post. The first post being is, my goodness, can this actually be fun? And then why does Battle Pass have to be tied exclusively to RTA? So what would make RTA more fun? And do you feel that the Battle Pass actually needs to be tied together with exclusively to RTA?
Well, one thing about the Battle Pass being tied to real-time arena, when I talked to Cerebro, I think it was 3 weeks ago at this point, they said that is something that they're looking into, changing that so it's not just tied into one game mode. So I think that is something that they were planning to address anyway, just by that. But real-time arena, we talk about this all the time. There's no incentive to win. And when there's no incentive to win, it's not a fun game mode. And I think that's kind of being lost. Every time I go into battle, I just hit auto. There's no incentive for me to play. Once in a while, I get a good matchup. I'm like, oh, I wonder how this is going to go. But even with that, it doesn't matter if I win. So even those rare instances where I get a good matchup, I'm not really incentivized to play it. I'm just hitting auto because there's no incentive to win.
Well, this is kind of a funny question. I probably already know the answer. Is so obviously RTA seems to be designed for 2 purposes. Is for Reminix, it's to increase engagement, for us to log in a lot. And then the second point is to get us to buy the $20 battle pass. You would think there would be a third objective, is like to actually upgrade our rosters, which is this, I've seen other games implement new game modes, and the only way that it was monetized is that you were compelled to diversify your roster. With the current version of RTA, have you upgraded a single character in your roster just for RTA?
No, goodness, no. I mean, it's that trap, right? It's that I think if you start upgrading the characters for RTA, you're going to be lost out of other game modes. Some of them aren't good. I guess the only character you'd want to do there is bring Zemo, and everybody's going to hate you when you're done, right?
Other than Zemo, what other characters gets this? Other than there's nothing.
Doom,
and Zemo, and that's about it. Because otherwise, there's no incentive to upgrade your roster in this game mode at all. Like if I know that this is a thing. In Galaxy of Heroes, there's a game mode, which I'm not going to get into, Grand Arena. A lot of people are like, what is that? But literally, I'm upgrading weird characters that are 50 deep on my roster, my 50th best character, because I know it's going to help me in a specific match. That is not happening in RTA at all. I mean, what do you have to say about RTA? Just give me your thoughts on RTA.
So the problem with that is we had a whole different system in the game, right? They had this thing where you can draft and you can create like these big brain plays and play your opponent, and you couldn't have the same one as them. So it was intriguing. It was a brand new game mode where you brought up this and it seemed a lot of fun, and it seemed like it was going to break out into a potentially a unique experience that was Marvel Strike Force, right? Mm-hmm. And then people just weren't engaging with it. And I think, there's a lot of reasons why. Time, when they started building these little elements and they couldn't figure out how to get people time. So what they did was they forced the battle pass on us with gear too good to pass up to upgrade our characters, not our rosters, for other game modes like Dark Dimension 4. Put a $20 price tag and said, all right, we can recover the cost of development. Let's just move on.
Right.
And that's what it feels like. It's almost like, yeah, you know what? You're just not working out. Let's try to make some money off this and move on.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up the conversation with one final discussion, and I will say that at length on Valley Flying's channel we just discussed solutions to Blitz and Sim Blitz, but I wanted to talk and wrap up this video is a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. I have to say is in game, but really at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are frustrated mid and early game. What can they do to make the game more fun for someone that's just playing the game for 90 days? What would Scopely have to do for you to be more likely to, you go to the gym or whatever and you say, hey, I play Marvel Strike Force, you should too. What do they got to do? Because the game can't just be about in-game players, right?
Yeah, they definitely need more catch-up mechanics. What are those specific catch-up mechanics? I'm not sure. More gear, more shards, getting people to the roster, the mid-game part, maybe getting them into DD2 easier, getting some of these characters. I think making Fury and Iron Man permanent legendary characters is a start. I think doing that with Star-Lord is another good start because it's a great DD2 character. Because I think for me, I think what I would define early game and mid game is getting Ultron. Once you get Ultron, I think you shift from a newer player to a mid game player. So getting players to that mid game point quicker, I think should be a priority. And as for the specifics, just more gear, more shards, more gold, more training mats, all that stuff.
Yeah,
I think all that's going to help everybody.
And for me, I think the problem is that when I'm working on a character, right, Remernex, and what happens is I'm working on a character that's a couple months old, or a character that I personally like. Imagine being a new player and you knowing that you need to upgrade Hela because Hela is important to get Black Bolt and Ebony Maw. But then we have 19,000 characters coming out next month, and I'm split between upgrading Hela and Bishop or Jubilee or whatever they're selling as Moon Knight is a big problem, right?
Mm-hmm. And then especially if a new character comes out and they don't perform the way that you thought they were, and somebody you're attached, yeah, that's a whole different story. But I think I think you had some pretty good solutions. I think the community has some good solutions. I think there's there's definitely a lot of things like maybe have like when legendary events have like a legendary calendar feature, or not, like a legendary blitz featuring a legendary character or unlock requirement characters, and maybe put some blue gear and gear inside of those like starter blitzes. There's just nothing that appeals to me to say, like, I've got a lot of friends who game and I've got a lot of friends who game on mobile, and I've had a lot of experience playing other mobile games, and I just have a hard time recommending starting this game because it just feels like I don't know where they should start. And it's like, and as a content creator, it's every few months I have to kind of revisit that and figure out, well, if I'm joining the game now, where do I start? How do I lock it down? And it's really not clear.
Oh yeah, it seems to change. I mean, for a long time you did Defenders, and then now you do Guardians, and then Guardians is now probably not the way to go. It just changes all the time, right? So that's interesting. So guess what time it is?
Time for the giveaway.
That's right. It's time for the giveaway, right? All right.
Oh yeah, baby. Love it.
I really hope you like this video today, because if you did, you are in luck. For every single person that likes this video, you'll be getting for free in your account an 8-star Cerebro Whack-A-Mole mini game.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's a new, they're coming out with a new mini game inside the game where you play Whack-A-Mole to hit all the bugs, the moving bugs all the time. So this was made a months ago, and the bugs have changed since then, right? We've seen Thor. Oh my God, Thor is the one that I think.
Yeah, that's the biggest one, man.
Yeah, I think random. I think just some of the stuff like calendars turning on, and events, accidental blitz starting.
Hey, that's where we get most of our resources from, though. We cannot
you get free stuff.
We can't have Jeff disappear. We need Jeff. We need him in the game.
All right, head over to Valley Flying's channel, because we did go at length into the Sim Blitz solution. We talked about that, and we talked about some other things. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
Keep on gaming, because Raminex is cool.
All right, Raminex, are you cool?
Yeah, Valley's vampire. I don't know how he stays looking so young.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep on gaming. Bye. I don't have any music today. I don't have any music, so they're literally listening to you right now.
And make it super cool with our chat.
Yeah,
I don't even know. Did we cover everything you wanted to talk about?
I think we did.
What about that new thing we're talking about your next video? Oh,
well, we'll talk about it then. We'll talk about it in the next video.
Oh boy.